No niin, kiitoksia Kirsi. Me ollaan Gregin kanssa sovittu, että mä puhun tämän ensimmäisen 5-10 minuuttia suomeksi tässä. Ja lyhyt kertaus tai päivitys siinä, että missä ollaan menossa ja minkälaisia visioita meillä on koirien geenitutkimuksessa. Ja mä oon Hannes Lohi, Helsingin yliopiston professori. Aiheena on geenitutkimus. Tutkitaan muun muassa koirien erilaisia perinnöllisiä sairauksia ja yritetään sitä kautta ymmärtää myöskin meidän omia sairauksia. Koira ja ihminen on aika lähellä toisiaan perimältään ja sairauksiltaan. Ja me voidaan hyödyntää tämmöistä vertailua tutkimusta edistämään omaa ja koirien terveyttä. Tässä on sitten lista, en tiedä kuinka hyvin näkyy tuonne taustalle ja muualle, mutta meillä on menossa itse asiassa noin 5-60 erilaista geenikartoitusprojektia noin 230 eri rodussa. Sieltä on varmaan vaikea nähdä, mutta tuossa on vaikkapa ensimmäinen tuossa salukit ja kardiomyopatia siinä. Eli me ollaan keräämässä siihen projektiin näytteitä, ensimmäisiä perimiä on sieltä analysoitu ja me yritetään tunnistaa niitä geenivirheitä sieltä. Se, että löytyykö näihin kaikkiin 60 se geenivirhe, sitähän me ei tiedä ennen kuin me on tutkittu niitä huolellisesti. Mutta geenitutkimuksessa me löydetään meidän DNAsta ja perimästä asioita, jotka aiheuttaa sen sairauden. Sitten kun me ymmärretään se, että mikä aiheuttaa sen sairauden, me voidaan miettiä sitten, että miten sitä sairautta voisi hoitaa tai ennaltaehkäistä. Ja sitten päiväaiheeseen, eli professori GregerLarson. We first met actually in the Vienna Falls Park, so both of us were thrown to the falls gates. There were 5 real falls, and we had to survive. Actually, before they throw us there, we have to sign that there's no liabilities if something happens. And we were both terribly scared about that case, and we started to argue. I told Greg that no, it's not a wolf, it's a hybrid, and he was telling no, it's not a hybrid, it's a real wolf. So, and they came and licked us, some of the wolves, and things. It was scary for you.
I am Professor GregerLarson. I am a geneticist in the Department of Archaeology at the University of Oxford. So I wanted to give you an impression this evening of the kinds of research that we're doing to try and understand the origins of dogs. I mean, we're all fascinated by our own origins, about the origins of the things around us, and dogs are of course no different than that. I'm just generally fascinated about origins in general, and particularly about things that mean a lot to us. And you know, dogs are man's best friend. It would be very nice to know how they became dogs. When, where, how many times, and when did this relationship, this amazing relationship, begin that's led to this massive proliferation of dogs all over the world? What I studied for a long time was the emergence of the Neolithic in Europe and people coming in, and we knew the pig signatures that matched exactly the dog signatures, a completely different methodology, but we saw the same thing. And then somebody pointed out to me after I saw that talk, what's that? It's happened again, and that time is exactly the same. It's 4,500. So there were dogs in Europe with the Mesolithic hunter-gatherers. Farmers brought their dogs in at 7,500, and East Asian steppe populations, nomadic pastoralists, brought their dogs in, and exactly the same thing happened. We had a crashing of the geographic distance, but a maintenance of the genetic distance, and that meant that correlation dropped back off the cliff again, and we see exactly the same thing. So what this means is you just have wave after wave after wave of dogs being moved around with people and then admixing with the dogs once they get there, blending that general gene pool, finally ending up with a gene pool of European dogs about 200 years ago, 150 years ago, which is the starting gene pool for all the breeds that we have now, or the vast majority of breeds that we have now. So that starting gene pool already had components of dogs from absolutely everywhere, and goes some way toward explaining that the probability that you had an in situ population of dogs independently domesticated from Western European wolves may have gone extinct because they were replaced by dogs coming in from elsewhere. I'm just a big fan of the domestication process, partly as a model for evolutionary biology, but also as a way to understand the human relationship with animals on Earth. So domestication started about 15,000 years ago. Our species is 200,000 years old. And there was a lot of time there where there were no domestic animals. And now our entire world is based upon a whole suite of domestic plants and animals. And it's just really cool to know about them all and what that process was. So the scenario that we've laid out in the last couple of months, and again, we don't know that this is entirely true, there's an expectation based upon the most recent bits of data, is that you have a population of ancestral wolves that varies genetically, maybe behaviorally, maybe phenotypically, across all of Eurasia. There's one in the east and one in the west. And you have Asian wolves that get domesticated to become ancient Asian dogs. You have European wolves that are themselves independently domesticated to become the Paleolithic or Neolithic European dogs, both of which are maintained by hunter-gatherer populations. And then those ancient Asian dogs move west with people at some point, either as part of the steppe population or earlier than that, but they're coming west, and as they do so, they are admixing with, there's a lot of gene flow with the indigenous European dogs, but because there's so many of them, or because of natural other demographic processes, a lot of luck, a lot of genetic drift, that early European dog basically goes extinct. Now, what we're looking for right now, so therefore if you said all modern dogs are East Asian, you wouldn't be wrong necessarily, because there were dogs from Western Europe, derived from Western European wolves, that have since been kind of swamped out by everything that was coming from the East. This is a hypothesis, we're still working on this, but what that sets up at least is this possibility that there may still be a component of those Western European dogs in your dog right now. We just don't have that reference genome yet, which is what we're working on to try and find it. If we do, I'm sure you can send somebody a kit and they'll tell you what percentage it is, in the same way that we know what percentage of Neanderthal is in all of us right now. We seem to have a very close affinity with cats these days. That's a much more recent phenomena, but we have cats live in our houses. We feed them, we take care of them in a way that we're invested in them in a way that bears a resemblance to that of dogs, but is really quite different from, say, cows or sheep or goats, which are also domestic, but you would never invite into the same bed with you. Or maybe you would, I don't know. It depends on what you're into.